Well, my friends, good afternoon. 2 o'clock on Friday, the last Friday in October, and the beginning of some cold weather. I heard that wicked word yesterday for the very first time in months. Someone who was supposed to come for a meeting said they had heard there was snow forecasted for yesterday. And it catapulted me into some new level of that can't be true. I saw it this morning. I don't know if you did. It was on my windshield. Hi, I'm Pastor Lou Kilgore, and this is the Pastor Chat. It's a place which is really not a place. It's here with you, but not really here with you. It's a chair for you, but a chair you'll not sit in. It's a place for you, and a thought for you, and a thought with you, but not really. How are you doing today? I feel that I've been talking all week about the coming of the new season, the season of winter and fall mainly, and it made its presence felt really big time today. The leaves now are beginning to be stripped off the trees, and it has a beauty of its own. There's no question about it. 2 years ago, I was walking in the park near here and came upon a tree that, it was a maple tree, and you know, sometimes maple trees will just, the entire tree will just become a flame of the most bright orange and red and yellow colors, and I snapped a picture of it, and wow. So summer has its colors. It has its greens and its purples and blues and all the many colors of flowers. But I'm reminded that just before the color is gone, there's an explosion of color in the leaves. It's just, it's the most beautiful and dramatic thing. And having seen it many, many, many times, as I'm sure you have too, I promise myself I will never take it for granted. It's gorgeous. So they say that it's always darkest just before the dawn. There must be something else in this season that says it's always brightest and most full of color and most profoundly red, yellow, green even, boom, before it goes gray. So welcome to my office today. The heat's on in here. I hope there's heat where you are. I still have my warm-up to keep the cold which is outside of me as well. And working and thinking today about the larger sense of what is the water we're in. That's the purpose for me of, I guess, these kinds of reflections, is that life goes by so fast sometimes that unless you do this stop and look and listen, I don't know, too much can go by. Or you can be dealing with things that you're not aware of, and that just makes life more stressful. I often, I almost always have this music playing in the background when I do this chat. The reason for that really originally was because when I came to work in this building, the main floor here, the sanctuary and the hallways and off through the offices and the adult gathering room, it's one floor. And then underneath, in actually a bigger footprint even, is a children's school area. The YMCA has for years done a daily care for children and education for children under the age of 5 in the downstairs level. And I'm always up and down and in and out. Since the COVID virus, I don't go downstairs much to protect the kids from unnecessary exposure, and me likewise. But one of my favorite things to do would be on a very, very busy day as a pastor, worrying about this and talking about this and keeping this appointment and writing this and reflecting on this or reading this, I would have occasion to go downstairs. Excuse me. And sometimes I would go downstairs and it was quiet. And there would be a little music playing in the background. And a place that is normally filled with chaos of people, children of all ages, coming and going, and getting and giving, and laughing and crying, and all the things that go on that level. At that time of day, I go down those steps, and it is quiet. And the music is playing. I'd walk through the hallways and wave to a teacher, or I would see students taking naps on the floor, on cots, all over. And sometimes there would be those students who are like a book my children had when they were little, Susie No Nap, who just insisted to her mother, "I'm never taking a nap." Those kids are there. They're laying on their cot, reading a book, quiet, calm. I go by, and they, "Hi, Pastor Lou," although they don't say anything, just quiet. And I would always say to the preschool teachers I was going to start a discipline of coming down every day at that time and just sort of taking up a seat in the corner and absorbing the quiet. I just want to let you know, I think about that every time when I turn on this music and this quiet descends on my life. I think about you, as many of you as I know, and I think about us. I've been talking the last couple of days, if you go back and you look at the recorded pastor chats. Sorry, my throat can't get clear. I've been looking at the last several pastors' chats, and I'm working on the service, the gathering. Oh, here it comes. The gathering for 10:30 this coming Sunday, All Saints' Day. Tomorrow, Halloween. And I've been reminding myself of how much I really love this day. I love this day coming up, the All Saints' Day. And I love it because it's filled with so much wisdom. This posture we're invited to take, one of seeing and really feeling the connections that we have to other people. No one is an island. No one is an island unto themselves. No one. And All Saints' Day, in the most positive way possible, celebrates that connection. And what we receive from those, sometimes we don't even know them, that we don't even realize that we've received what we have through what they've done. You'll hear a lot today about younger women who say they stand on the shoulders of women who've gone on before them and have fought for things like the right to vote, and they have insisted that they must be counted and that their voices must be heard, and that they are perfectly eligible to serve in all capacities in society. For women, for African Americans, for the poor. There are champions of freedom, champions of acknowledgement of the sanctity of a human being and the rights that are inherent in being human, to have the pursuit of happiness and freedom in our lives. Those things that now, they're just part of the air we breathe. We may not know how to get them, but we know that's what it should be, because of others who stood up and were counted, who crossed bridges and got beaten and then crossed again. People whose reputation was destroyed in a battle for full expression of being human. For young people, for same-sex oriented young people who've taken a deep breath and have come out of the closet, as we refer to it, and they've simply made that great human appeal that says, here I am, this is who I am, understand me, and allow me to be me. We all gain from those pilgrimages, those expressions of courage in the face of opposition and things that would, as Luther says in his great hymn, things that would undo us. There are many things that would undo us. We put them in front of us during Halloween. But on All Saints' Day, I'm sorry, I can't get my throat cleared today. I've been talking a lot. On All Saints' Day, we put in front of us and we see in connection of who we are. Whether it's freedoms that we have received or gifts that we have received, we know that all of them have been gained, sometimes at great sacrifice. And for however else you think of Jesus and the story of Jesus' life and the account of his life, for all the godly things that are attributed to him and that we believe about him, we never lose sight of the fact that in his full humanness, he faced enormous rejection, betrayal by his own friends. Yet he persisted. He kept the faith and endured. He endured great suffering, and I focus on that not so much to create a blame for those who caused the suffering, but to lift up the power of his willingness to do and to go where he went and do what he did, following his own belief that he was sent by God, his deep and abiding belief that he was sent by God to be leading and blazing a trail of love, of forgiveness, of hope and wholeness and salvation for all of us. So, this coming Sunday, I'm going to be thinking the rest of today and tomorrow. I've been working a little bit on how it will come together for a sermon. This coming Sunday is the Eucharist. It's the Communion Sunday. So we'll be sharing in some of that reminder, remembering Jesus, As we remember the saints, we remember the endurance and the perseverance and the faith given to us by Jesus himself, who even on the night that he was betrayed by his very best friends, he gave up his life for them, that they might truly come to believe that God loved them and could forgive them, and was calling them to be a blessing to the families of the earth, to others, to follow in his path, to share the good news. So this Sunday, on All Saints' Day, we have that practice, that ritual of our faith, which just enriches it all in the non-alcoholic wine and or grape juice and the bread. And it connects us to the even more ancient story of the saints from way back, and the travesty and the awfulness and the oppression of the pharaohs of the world, who saw the opportunity in their lives to prey upon, to take advantage of those that could not defend themselves. And they endured. They came out from Egypt. And we remember that. That's what Jesus was celebrating at the table as he prepared for his own gift of faith to us. But along with that, this Sunday, I'm going to be creating some remembrances of the saints of our church, those that lived their faith. They lived their faith and they gave from their life. This church is not like some churches that had very, very wealthy people who just sort of pulled off the top of the surplus of their lives and supported the church and expected a lot in return. No, the history of people who are the saints of this church are not like that. They're like the story, A Simple Life of Lois Gassman, who died just this past year. A saint of God. And she wouldn't like me saying it. She loved to care for people. She visited people. She wrote cards to people. She was working out her salvation and struggling even until the weeks before she finally became ill. And she died in Bible study, reading and asking questions, but always, always, always in faith. Endured trials of her life, ran the race, persisted to the very end, gave sacrificially for the community larger than her to benefit in the life of the church. There are so many. I'm going to try to create a little place that we'll put on camera, that it's not a shrine, but a candle. We'll light a candle for those who recently we've lost. And then we'll remember even greater those beyond recently that we have lost, but for whom you can feel their presence in a place like this. I can feel their presence in my life. And I'm grateful for them. And when I'm having a down day or a weak day or a day of, I will remember them. And they will still be ministering in faith to me. Because it's a time to do that. The Protestant church, believing much more in democracy, in human leadership, in church and in government, the Protestant church did away with the idea that this gift of the saint only is a very few elite at the very top. And the Protestant church sent us outward, like I'm doing in this conversation, to say, they said there's a priesthood of all believers, but that it's the sainthood of all believers. That on All Saints' Day, we remember them and thank them. And saints living and dead. Saints are alive today. I'm still drawing on the strength of the saints of my life. Thank God, I do. The blessings never end toward me and for me. It also, for me in my life, it connects. You can think of All Saints' Day as a very high and holy day in the Episcopal and the Roman Catholic Church, and there's beautiful liturgical feasts that go with it, celebrating certain saints, and you can have your patron saint and all that. But then, on the whole other side of the pendulum, there is a very grassroots New Orleans practice of this in the song, "When the Saints Go Marching In." I want to be in that number. When the roll is called up yonder, when the heavens open, if and when that ever happens, and all of time has come to an end, when all that is going to be done is done, and all that is going to be said is said, and all that are going to live have lived, when it's all said and done, I want to be counted as a person of faith. And I want to go marching in. I want to march with the saints. It's this Sunday. It's every day, really. We just need special days to draw these things to our life. So as the days turn cold, I pray that the presence of God's life and love for you becomes warm. And as we continue to practice safe distancing, I'm hoping that the Spirit of God overcomes all the distances between you and your family and your loved ones, and creates among us that priesthood, that sainthood of encouraging one another, pulling each other along the way. My dad told, you know how they always say that the parents talk to their kids and say, "Oh, you don't know how easy you have it. You know, I had to walk 5 miles to school and it was uphill both ways," right? You've heard these endless variations of this. My father used to tell us a story, and it wasn't really intended to be a purposeful exaggeration. It was, I think, actual. But my dad could remember days in the winter when the school, I knew where the school was. It wasn't 5 miles away, but it was a mile at least. And the snow would come. And my dad remembers one time in particular, I don't know why they didn't just stay home, but my grandfather was going to take the 3 children to school. And so he tied a rope around his waist, and it was like a blizzard. The snow was deep, the wind was fast, and the children weren't really all that old. And so he tied this rope around his waist, and then he tied the rope around the waist of each of his 3 children. And out into the snow they went, and they walked over hill and dale. I literally can see the path that they walked. And by so doing, he used his adulthood and his strength and his confidence to get them through the snowstorm into the warmth of the one-room schoolhouse, warmed by a beautifully fired-up wood stove. That's what a saint does. That's how a saint functions in our life, living or dead. And it's them. It's those people. It's their perseverance that makes our life safer, stronger in faith, that we give thanks to God for today. I thank you, my friends, and I will talk to you next Monday. Come join together in the gathering for strengthening of faith. I've got a pretty good version of when the saints go marching in from somewhere, and it'll be an inspiration and maybe make you smile as we continue to give thanks and then celebrate the Eucharist together. God bless you, and I hope to see you soon. If you're new to this and to me and to all that happens here, there's lots to look at on the YouTube page. There's a new Bible study beginning in the book of Job. There are pastor's chats from every day. There are sermons and services from the weeks throughout. And I just encourage you, go there, subscribe on the YouTube page, and then that way you'll get a reminder every time we go live. You can send emails to me, questions, comments, encouragements, to Rev Louie, R-E-V, Victor, as in Victor, R-E-V-L-O-U-I-E at AOL.com. And I'll look forward to an exchange of ideas and words and prayers and hopes for you in our life together. God bless you, my friends.